Okay, third graders, hope you're having a fabulous day today. So I'm going to go over, this is in your iReady math book that you brought home. This is going to be page 12, 13, 14, and 15. So what I want you to do is I want you to watch this video, go over page 12, 13, 14, 15, and then I want you to open up your Pathways folder and get out the 2 red sheets that I have assigned for today. I want you to work those using the associative property. Remember, the associative property of multiplication says that you can take 3 digits, 3 factors, and multiply them, and you can change their groups when you multiply. So let's look at page 12. Page 12 has a word problem up here about Nicole, and it says Nicole decorates her glove with plastic jewels. She glues 3 jewels onto each finger and thumb. So if you think about a hand, our hand has 4 fingers and a thumb. So 5 total digits on our hand. So here's a picture of what she's talking about. You see the 4 fingers and the 1 thumb, so 5 digits all together. And she's putting 3 jewels on each. Now each is our big clue word here that tells us we're doing multiplication. Then she's not just doing that for 1 hand, she's going to do that on 2 hands. So she has 2 gloves. Each glove has 5 digits on it, and each of those digits has to have 3 jewels on it. So to work this problem, you're going to need all 3 factors. You need the factor 3 for the 3 jewels, you need the factor 5 for the 5 digits on a hand, and you need the factor 2 for her having 2 hands, because our 2 gloves. So on this first one in red, what they did is they grouped the 3 and 5 together first, and they multiplied 3 times 5, which we know is 15. So then they took their 15 and multiplied it times 2. And if you don't know 15 times 2, you can remember, always do it as repeated addition. You're doubling that 15, which gives you your 30. Okay? Or you can take those same 3 factors, 3, 5, and 2, but you can group them in a different way. So in this time, instead of putting 3 and 5 in parentheses, you can put 5 and 2 in parentheses. If you do 5 and 2 first, you get 10, and then you say 3 times 10, which is also 30. Both problems give us 30. But it's called, we're looking at the associative property because the factors did not move. Now in commutative property, our factors change their order. We have to move them around. But in the associative property, what happens is you keep your factors 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 2. They don't change their place. You just change what you put in your parentheses. So now's our time to use those same 3 factors and show this associative property. So number 9, which way did you want to do it first? Personally, I would just go the same way they did. So I would put 3 and 5 together first and see how that works out. To show the associative property, this time I'm going to keep my 3, 5, and 2 in the same order, but this time I'm going to put 5 and 2 in parentheses. Which way would you choose to find the product? Well, I can tell you, me personally, I would choose the second way, and I'll explain why. Now, you may pick the first way, and that's okay if you'd rather do the first way. I would have chose the second way because I know how to count by 10. And I don't really know my 15 multiplication facts very well, but I do know how to count by 10, so I can do 10 times 30 a lot easier than I can do 15 times 2. So I would choose 3 times, parentheses, 5 times 2, because I can count by 10 easier than counting by 15. That's my personal reason on why I would choose this one, this way, versus the 3 times 5 first. Number 12, explain how you can use grouping to make multiplication, to make multiplying 3 factors easier. Well, it's like the Subway, it's like when I talked about the Subway sandwich. And how I said that if I gave you a foot-long Subway sandwich, you can't eat that in one bite. You've got to take small bites, chew it up, swallow it, and then take another small bite. Well, multiplying three factors is the same way. You have a big problem that you're given with three factors to have to multiply. It's a lot easier if you break it into just two at a time and then work it that way. So how can grouping make multiplying easier? It can help us work out smaller problems instead of one big problem. We can break that big problem up into those smaller problems to make it easier. Now you can word that how you feel that it makes it easier for you. That's just what I would say. All right, 13 and 14, they want us to take these three factors and they want us to show how we would group them. So we're going to show both ways to group them, and then we're going to look at which way we had rather do it. So we have 7 times 2 times 4. We could group 7 and 2 together, or we could group 2 and 4 together. And then it says choose the way that you would. Well, let's look. 7 times 2 is 14, and 2 times 4 is 8. I don't know about you, but I don't know how to multiply by 14 very well. So I would pick the one that gives me 8 first. So that's the way I would do it. It says choose one. I'm going to choose this one. So how would I work it out? I would do 7 times 8, because I know 2 and 4 is 8. And I know 7 times 8 would give me 56. 5, 6, 7, 8. Who do we appreciate? 7 times 8. 7 times 8. Yay! 8. That's a little cheer to help you remember 7 times 8. 14. We have 2, 4, and 3. We could group 2 and 4 together, or 2, 4, 3. We could group 3 and 4 together. So let's look at these. 2 times 4 is 8, and 4 times 3 is 12. I think I'm going to pick the 8 first. So if I pick this one, now really on that one I could do either way, but if I choose 8 first, then that's going to give me 8 times 3. We already learned our 3's. 8 times 3 we know is 24. Now it's okay if you went with 12 first, you still would get 24. 2 12s is 24. That one might be the way that you prefer. All right, this is using the associative property or changing our groups when we have three factors. All right, let's go to lesson 2. Or let's go to the next page. Sorry, this is page 14 and 15. It says use order. We're still using order in our groups. Commutative and associative property to help us work these problems. It says Jolie bought 2 bags of bananas. There are 9 bunches in each bag, and there are 5 bananas. So we have 3 factors here. 2, 9, there's a word each, clue word, and there are 5 bananas, another each. How many bananas did Jolie buy? So we have 3 factors, 2, 9, and 5, and we are going to decide how we want to group them. So they decided to group 2 and 5 together first. That's how I would have done it. The reason I would have put 2 and 5 together first is because that's 10, and again, I can count by 10s a lot quicker. So then they said 10 times 9 and got 90. Now, did anybody notice this? They first wrote it in order the way that this problem is written. 2 times 9 times 5. But then they decided to use the commutative property first, and they switched the order of the 9 and 2 because they wanted to put 2 and 5 together. They didn't like getting 18 and they didn't like getting 45 for an answer because those are pretty big numbers. So they first used the commutative property to swap their factors around so they could get 2 small factors together to use the associative property in order to group them. Pretty smart, wasn't it? So remember, you can do both. You can change the order of the factors by using the commutative property, or you can even change their grouping, or you can do both. And our multiplication properties tell us that's okay because we're still going to get the same product. All right, let's look at let's work page 15 together. It says you'll choose which way to solve the problem from the previous page, okay? So let's look. They've got 9 times 2 in parentheses. That tells me I need to do that first. So 9 times 2 would give me 18. What number is missing from the previous? Let's look back and see. I want to pull that out. 5, I wanted to make sure it's 5. I thought it was 5, but I wanted to double check. Of course, you have your book open. You probably could have told me that. So 18 times 5 would give us 90. Or we could do 5 times 2, which is 10 times 9, because that would be the missing factor, which is 90. Or we could do 9 times 5 is 45. And then double that times 2 and get 90. So you will need 5, 9, and 2. Those are the factors that they had missing that they moved around, okay? Look at 16. Remember that you must multiply numbers inside parentheses first. So I've already kind of done this for you up here, so we're just going to pull that down. If we do 9 and 2 first, we know that's 18, and then times 5. If we do 5 and 2 first, we know that's 10 times 9, which is 90. If we do 9 and 5 first, we get 45 times 2, which is also 90. All 3 of them give us 90. Which one would you prefer? I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to pick this one. I'm going to pick the 5 times 2 times 9 because I can count, by 10 easier and quicker. So that's the one I would have picked because 10s are so easy to work with. 18, not so easy to work with. 45, that one would have been okay because I could have just added 45 plus 45 and got 90. But I'm still going to go with the 10 because I can count by 10. I can actually just look and know it's 90 because I know my properties of my 10 facts. So that's why I would pick that one. Now you don't have to choose mine, but whatever way that you choose, make sure that you explain why that's the best one for you. All right, let's go to 18. Explain how you can use grouping and multiplying in order to make multiplying 3 numbers easier. Okay, just like we saw, we can change the order. So changing the order puts factors together that are easy to multiply and change in groups help multiply smaller problems first. That's basically what it does. Your commutative property allows you to move numbers around and put those factors together that you want to multiply first, like 2 and 5. Make those 10s, make those easy numbers that we can work with, that we can count by. 5 and 10, those are always easy to count by. And then, of course, the associative property helps us put those small factors together first that we can use to get our final answer. 19 and 20, they want us to change the order of the factors. So remember, we can do both. We can change the order that they're in. So looking at this, I don't like the 7 in the middle. I don't want to have to work with a 21. That's a big number. So what can I move that will give me a smaller number? I could put the 3's together, couldn't I? So instead of having it like this, I'm going to write it as 3 times 3 times 7. I can change the order. The commutative property says so. Then I can start grouping them. I definitely want to do the 3's together first because I don't want to have to work with a 21. So if I do 3 first, then that's going to give me 9 times 7. Now I can use my hands. And if I put up my